Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the online classes of Anjuman-E-Islam's Sardar Mehboob Ali Khan English Medium High School, Hubli. Let me brief you all about the freedom movement. In Indian history, freedom movement played a major role. Okay, in this freedom movement, there are many Indian freedom fighters who have contributed a lot. The major ones is Mahatma Gandhi. As you all know, apart from him, there are many other leaders. But before that, what had happened in our country, let us discuss. The freedom movement, which began with 1857 revolt, unfortunately was a failure. But after the 1857 revolt, there was a tragic history, a change took place in Indian history, and that was the formation of the Indian National Congress by Alan Octavian Hume, who was a retired civil servant who gathered many of the youth to fight for the national cause, and due to his continuous effort, Indian National Congress was established in India. But unfortunately, as the days passed, due to the difference of opinion among the members of the Indian National Congress, the committee was split into three groups, and the whole group was divided into three categories. One were the revolutionaries, and the another one were the radicals, and then comes the moderates. Okay, moderates were none other than the people who approached to the British for the freedom's sake very politely. Their method to approach to demand the freedom from the British was quite polite, and due to which many of the radicals and some of the revolutionaries said that it is due to the moderates which the freedom movement was delayed, and they were given name as political beggars by the radicals. Then comes the radicals. Radicals are none other than the Lal, Bal and Pal. Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal and Aurobindo Ghosh, who were neither violent nor polite. They were quite aggressive towards the British, and they wanted at any cost freedom for the nation, and they struggled till the last breath. And then comes the revolutionaries who were quite violent towards the British. They demonstrated many of the activities. They were the one who have who gave the demo to the Indians how to manufacture the arms and ammunitions, and they had secretly planned against the British to fight for the nation. Moderates, extremists and revolutionaries were the one who have given a different dimension to the freedom movement. And then comes the drain theory. What is a drain theory? Drain theory is a theory which was introduced by Dadabhai Nauroji. It is a theory under which a huge wealth from our country was drained to the British in various forms, in the form of the salaries, in the form of the pensions, apart from that in the form of the exported materials. Okay, many of the raw materials were exported from India to the Europe, and as a result a huge wealth from our country was transferred to the Europe, and this was thoroughly explained by Dadabhai Nauroji. Apart from this, then comes the division of the Bengal, which took place in 1905. Bengal was anti-British activity center, where many freedom fighters have taken birth. The most important is Bal Gangadhar Tilak, who played a major role in the division of Bengal. Actually, this is the person whose continuous effort brought the unity to the Bengal. Bengal was divided in the name of the Western Bengal and Eastern Bengal. The Eastern Bengal was completely filled with the Muslims, whereas the Western Bengal was completely populated with the Hindus. Okay, to keep the Bengal people busy in their internal issues, the British government decided to divide the Bengal under the leadership of Lord Curzon. But Bal Gangadhar Tilak realized this intention of the British, and he once again united the Bengal, and due to his continuous effort, the Bengal was reunited in the year 1911. Explain the situation that seeded the ideas of partition India in Muslim League. It is one of the major which had sown the seeds of the partition in India. when the three roundtable conferences were held in India in 1931, 1932, 1933, 1930, 31, 32, at that time the British had invited many of the organizations from the different parts of the country to represent their point of view in the roundtable conferences. Unfortunately, they had invited separately. They did not invite the Indians as the whole group. Okay, the Mahatma Gandhi's group was invited as the Indian National Congress, whereas B.R. Ambedkar led a separate group which represented only the depressed community, whereas like that there are many other groups who had represented their own organization, and as a result, when they invited the people or different organization in our country to take part in the roundtable conferences, one group was invited as especially for the Muslim League, which was led by Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And when the Quit India movement was launched in India, at that time Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Muslim League did not take any part, did not play any role in the Quit India movement, which was launched in 1942 on 8th of August by Mahatma Gandhi. Of course, this was a leaderless movement, as because all the leaders were under the arrest of the British for anti-British activities, and this was the partition, this was the seed sown by the British during the Quit India movement. Then let us move to the Rowlatt Act, what it is and what is Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Jallianwala Bagh is a public park in Amritsar in Punjab. There, when Mahatma Gandhi had arrived to the freedom movement in 1919, he was about to address publicly. At that time, many of the people had gathered at Amritsar. He was about to address the people. Many of the people had gathered at Amritsar in this Jallianwala Bagh, a public park. Many youths, women, men, children, innocent people, all of them had gathered there at Jallianwala Bagh. There, one of the British general, Major Dyer, gave an order as per this Rowlatt Act. As per this Rowlatt Act, none of the Indians were allowed to move in a group. In 1919, none of the Indians were allowed to move in a group. They were not allowed to have an organization. They were not allowed to have a protest. They were not allowed to have a demonstration anywhere. And in spite of that, when many people had gathered at Jallianwala Bagh, there General Dyer ordered to shoot at the people, and this park had one entrance and another one was exit. Both the entrance and the exit were blocked by General Dyer's officers, and unfortunately innocent people were killed. Around, in history it is mentioned that around 500 people were killed. Some of them were jumped into the well, some of them had tried to climb the walls of the park. Unfortunately, plenty of the people were died, many of the people were injured, and all of them were innocent. They were not at all knowing anything, and that is why this movement hurted Mahatma Gandhi, because at this time, this was the period in 1919 when Mahatma Gandhi had taken the leadership of the freedom movement. Before that, he was in South Africa and he was on his practice, that is barrister law, or he was continuing his advocate practice after completing his early education. When he came to India, this was the first incident took place as a freedom fighter, and against this he took a major step, and that was non-cooperation movement. What is non-cooperation movement? Jallianwala Bagh, and this, when innocent people were killed and massacred in the sense they were who were innocently killed. Okay. So when these people were killed, this hurted Mahatma Gandhi, and he decided to give an answer to the British. And as we all know, Mahatma Gandhi's major weapons were non-violence and satyagraha. So these two weapons he used in non-cooperation movement, and under this non-cooperation movement, he decided to not at all cooperate with the British. In what way? Many of the students came out of the schools. The lawyers gave up their practices. Many of the people who have got the titles as sirs, they gave up their titles. Many doctors, they came out of the hospitals and they stopped their practices. Internship they gave up, and as a result, many people supported Mahatma Gandhi, and this came to be called as one of the major steps in the development of the freedom movement. But This incident when was peacefully going on in 1920. Unfortunately, in Uttar Pradesh, some of the people who were protesting at Chauri Chaura in Uttar Pradesh, a small town, there they were passing through the police station. Unfortunately, those police people from the police station started firing at the common people, and the result was these people raged and revolted, went into the police station, locked the police station and burnt around 22 policemen. Around 22 policemen were burnt, and all the charges were put on Mahatma Gandhi, and he was arrested for 6 years. Luckily, he was released after 2 years due to his ill health. Later afterwards, after certain period, after the recovery of Mahatma Gandhi, there was a civil disobedience movement, which is considered as one of the most prominent movement in the freedom movement. Okay. So what it is, civil disobedience movement? The British had imposed variety of taxes on Indians. One among them was the salt tax, which was quite difficult for many of the Indians as their earning was not good. Against this, Mahatma Gandhi placed a report. Under that report, there were 11 demands. One among them was abolition of salt tax. When British refused to obey the demand of the Mahatma Gandhi, then Mahatma Gandhi decided to launch the civil disobedience movement, and he boycotted all the activities with the British, which also intensified throughout the country. Quit India movement. Quit India movement is launched in 8th of August 1942 when Sir John Simon Commission arrived to India to convince the Indians against certain activities and policies which were brought by the British. At that time, Mahatma Gandhi launched this Quit India movement at Bombay. There, many of the people supported him. Many organizations were there, had established in India, which had not joined with the Indian National Congress. When Mahatma Gandhi launched this Quit India movement, and slogans were demonstrated everywhere, at that time, Mahatma Gandhi called the youth of the country for do or die for the nation. When Mahatma Gandhi launched this movement, along with Mahatma Gandhi, many of the prominent leaders from the freedom movement and freedom struggle were arrested, and that is why this movement is called as the leaderless movement in Indian history. Later they were arrested and later they were released. After 4 to 5 years they were released, and the movement was intensified in the Indian history. Next, explain the role of Subhash Chandra Bose, Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and freedom movement. Mahatma Gandhi's period is from 1920 to 1947, which is called as the Gandhian era. In between, we get to see the role of the B.R. Ambedkar and Subhash Chandra Bose. Subhash Chandra Bose, who belongs to the well-educated family, who stood 4th rank to the country in the Indian civil service, rejected the job offered by the British and decided to join the freedom movement. Along with Jawaharlal Nehru, a Swaraj party was formed by Subhash Chandra Bose. Being a highly educated, he knew how to tackle with the British and the policies brought by them. And with the support of Mahatma Gandhi, he got a chance to enter into the Indian National Congress, and after that he took a part in the election, and luckily in 1934 in Haripur session he got elected, and he served for quite a long period as the president of Indian National Congress. But the soft nature of the Mahatma Gandhi towards the British made him to go against Mahatma Gandhi, and there we get to see the difference of opinion between Mahatma Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose. And in 1939, once again at Haripur session, when re-election took place, Subhash Chandra Bose once again got elected as the president, but he gave up and he formed a separate organization with Jawaharlal Nehru and separated himself, and to gather many of the youth from outside the country, he took the help from Ras Bihari Bose, who was in Japan and had formed the Indian National Army. There, with the help of the Rasbihari Bose, many people in Japan who were from India and in other parts of the country all were gathered, and a movement was launched by him and Rasbihari Bose, and that movement was called as Delhi Chalo movement. And this movement brought many of the Indians from the abroad to India, and they took an active role in the freedom movement. And unfortunately, when Subhash Chandra Bose was about to attack on British at Rangoon, he was died in a plane crash, and after his death many of his followers and many of his supporters were arrested. Later afterwards they were released, but there is a mystery on his death. Then comes the B.R. Ambedkar, okay, the first law minister of our country and father of the Indian Constitution. His role is major. In many of the books you get to see that he is not considered as the freedom fighter but the father of the Indian Constitution. From the beginning, that is from in the first Roundtable Conference of 1930, second Roundtable Conference of 1931, third Roundtable Conference of 1932, B.R. Ambedkar's role is major, but unfortunately he fought only for the depressed class people, and two of the movement is Mahad tank movement and Kalaram temple movement. At Mahad, there a small town in Maharashtra, people were not allowed to drink water or take a water from the well, which was a common well. There he fought, he launched a movement which came to be called as a Mahad tank movement, and there the entry for all the people was open. And same likewise a Kalaram temple movement, same in the Maharashtra only, a small town. There the temple, the untouchables were not allowed to enter, and there also he fought there, he continuously struggled there to bring the entry for the untouchables, and there also he got success. Later afterwards he found an association, okay, with the Harijans, and he fought for the sake of the Harijans, and when the Roundtable conferences were held, he was invited not to represent Indian National Congress but to represent only his depressed community, which was totally against by Mahatma Gandhi, and the result was there were difference of opinion between B.R. Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhi. Neither in the first Roundtable Conference, nor in the second Roundtable Conference, nor in the third Roundtable Conference there were the fruitful result. But the British gave permission for B.R. Ambedkar to form a separate constituency for his community, and a separate electoral college was set up for the depressed class under the leadership of B.R. Ambedkar, and later afterwards he was appointed as one of the a major law member of the Indian Constitution when the drafting committee was asked to prepare in 1946, exactly 1 year before the independence. He became the chairman of the drafting committee. Jawaharlal Nehru as the first Prime Minister of India. The role of the Jawaharlal Nehru as the first Prime Minister of India. Jawaharlal Nehru's major role is in 1929 at Lahore, when the session was held of Indian National Congress, he demanded Purna Swaraja, that is complete independence. Exactly in 1930, he announced in 1929 at Lahore session in front of the British Parliament that in 26th of January 1930 India is going to have its independence, but unfortunately it was not fulfilled, and to commemorate that day India had chosen 26th January itself as its Republic Day. When he became the Prime Minister of our country, he gave focus on foreign policy of India, and under this foreign policy certain terms and conditions were included in foreign policy of our country, and this foreign policy have played a major role to have a relationship with the other countries of the world. His foreign policy has included certain policies. One is Panchshila principle, non-alignment movement, disarmament, and these were one of the major setbacks. Apart from that, integration of the states after the independence, there were 562 states, princely state, which had to be united, and it was under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru and his home minister Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, which were united together, and he had also formed a separate group apart from the Indian National Congress, and that was Swaraj Party. Same likewise, protest organized by farmers and workers. When the freedom movement was going on, there were many other rules, regulations brought by the British which were not possible for the worker class community, the farmers. Many of the workers were working in the unions, companies, factories, mills, were not able to practice it or not able to follow it, and those people had revolted back against the British in various forms. One example, in Isur, a small town in Shimoga, there many of the farmers were also called as Bedas and hunters revolted against the British, and when Mahatma Gandhi came to India and he took a major part in the freedom movement, the first movement which he launched was Champaranya movement, and this movement intensified the workers class people, the farmers, the mill workers to struggle against the British, and their role is considered as one of the